Hi, I'm Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor. A concern which I sometimes hear new investors express is, what if the bank won't lend me the money? Well, let's just think about this, because there's probably going to be two different reasons why a bank might not lend you the money. The very first is they're not going to lend you the money because they don't like you. Now, I'm not being harsh about it, but if your criteria doesn't fit their criteria and there's no mesh and matching, they're not going to lend you the money. So this is why it's really, really important to have a really good mortgage broker who can go through your financial circumstances and make sure that when they apply for a mortgage, that they take you to the bank who's going to accept you. By the way, if you want a recommendation for a mortgage broker, I'm very happy to recommend my mortgage broker to you. Just drop me an email, thepropertyteacher@gmail.com, thepropertyteacher@gmail.com, and I'll put you in touch with my mortgage broker. Not a problem at all. So think about it. Are they saying they don't like you? One of the benefits of having a decision in principle, is that your mortgage broker could go to lenders and actually get them in a relatively short time. It could happen within 24 hours. So just look at your position and they'll say, yeah, we'll lend to that person. And then you can take that dip into an estate agent when they want proof of funds and they want to know that you're a credible buyer. So that can be useful. The second reason why a bank might not lend to you, though, is because they like you, but they don't like the property. Now, sometimes this can be very frustrating and aggravating, but if you think about it this way, it's actually probably a good thing, because if the bank are looking over our shoulder, making sure that the property that we buy fits their criteria, then it's really a bit of a safety net to stop us buying stuff which is completely unsuitable. Frustrating though it may be. Now, it could be, I mean, that's a very simplistic view, I appreciate. It could be, for example, that you found a property which is a fantastic refurb opportunity, but because it needs a refurb, a buy-to-let lender won't lend on it because they want it to be habitable. That can happen. That can be frustrating. And again, I'd suggest that if your mortgage broker has put you to a lender like that, they might not have been the right mortgage broker for you. You need somebody who understands investment and what we're trying to do. But by and large, assuming that's not the case, and that wasn't just a simple mistake on the part of the mortgage broker, if it turns out that the property isn't one you should be buying, then that's actually a good algorithm, isn't it? It stops you from making a mistake. So it may be that there's some kind of a defect with the property which you haven't noticed, which gets flagged up on the valuation. Or it could be that you're overpaying. I was advising an investor recently, one of my mentoring clients, and they had been offered properties which were probably worth only half the price that they were being asked to pay for them by what we could call a deal packager or a deal sourcer. Clearly, if they had actually moved forward and they'd bought those properties with a mortgage, in this instance they were actually buying them cash, so they were very vulnerable. But in that instance, if they'd been buying them with a mortgage, the bank would have seen that these properties were horribly overpriced and overvalued, and there would have been a down valuation and my client would have been saved. As it was, I was able to save my client anyway by pointing out that the property values and the prices didn't actually bear any resemblance. So what I'm saying is, it's not necessarily a bad thing if the bank won't lend to you on a particular property. You want to find out why they won't lend to you. If it's simply down to the bias of the valuer and it's actually a really good property, that can be immensely frustrating. What can you do then? Well, probably all you can do is actually, rather than arguing with the bank and arguing that the valuer is an idiot, which is what we'd all like to do really, probably the best thing to do is just to go to get your mortgage broker to take you to a different lender and start the process from scratch, with the hope that the next time, with a different valuer and a different bank, it will actually go through. Well, I hope you found that informative and inspirational. And if you want help in property, please do come over to my website, www.thepropertyteacher.co.uk. Loads of great resources there, including my blog. There's loads of free videos, loads of great articles. There's free reports to download, including Learning with Peter, where you'll be able to access resources like my video courses, like my ebooks, including my home study course, the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop, which I've literally sold thousands of copies of, which takes you through how I started in property, literally with none of my own money, but how I was able to build a portfolio of £2 million worth of property in just 4 years. I'll show you everything that I did right so that you can do the same, and I'll show you everything that I did wrong. I'll tell you about all of my mistakes so that you can avoid them, so that you can progress in property far more quickly than me. Until next time, here's to successful property investing.